Hey everyone, Percival Bricks here, and today we're going to be going over the LEGO Marvel 2026 sets that just got revealed a few days ago. These sets come out January 1st, there's 6 of them, and I think there's a lot of positives here and quite a few negatives in my opinion, and we'll just get into all of that right now. Let's just start off with the set that I think most people are going to be like the most excited about. It's certainly the one I'm most excited about, and that is set number 76334, Epic Battle, Spider-Man vs. Sandman, and this is releasing for $24.99 US. And this set is so crazy. The fact we're getting a Spider-Man 3 base set in 2026 is insane. So let's start with the minifigs. Here we have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and yes, in the scene he does get his suit really ripped up, but I think having a like undamaged Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figure in this set is going to make a lot of people very happy, because I'm sure a lot of people want this figure and they maybe missed out on the No Way Home Final Battle set. So paying 25 bucks to get a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man minifigure, I think a lot of people would be willing to do that, and this seems like a perfect option. But as always, this figure looks amazing, and he has these dual molded boots which really tie the whole thing together. And yeah, just a great way to get Spider-Man. Next up, we have Sandman, and this is kind of an interesting one. I think he generally looks really good. I probably prefer some of the other Sandmans that we've gotten in the past over this one. But again, it's just crazy to get a Spider-Man 3 based Sandman in 2026. I mean, that's just so exciting. I feel like to look like the movie version, he maybe should have gotten a hairpiece of some kind. And keep in mind, in this scene in Spider-Man 3, he's like a giant version of Sandman. So he doesn't really look anything like this and isn't even like minifigure size, but it's still cool to get him. And our third figure in the set, I'm sure this is the main reason people are going to be wanting the set. It is Venom, and not just any Venom, it is Topher Grace Venom from Spider-Man 3. This is so cool. I grew up when Spider-Man 3 came out, and there were Mega Bloks sets, but there was nothing close to an official version of this Venom. I think he looks just like how he's supposed to. I love his eyes, his mouth, his spider logo. I mean, everything is perfect about this minifigure, in my opinion. Now let's look at the build. This set is obviously meant to be like a smaller display model, and for what it is, I do think it captures the scene pretty well. It has some beams and some things that make you think like it's a construction site, and it has those black Venom webs all over. And of course, it has Venom with these tendrils, and I think that looks so good. The build for Sandman is definitely interesting to say the least. I don't think it's bad. I just probably still prefer some of the Sandman looks we got in the past. So my overall feelings on this set is it's definitely worth the price, and you're getting some really good minifigs and a pretty decent display model for what you're paying for. I think the existence of this set is pretty disappointing for only one reason, and that's that we don't have a Harry Osborn minifigure included in this set. Harry is the only reason Spider-Man was able to take down Sandman and Venom in this scene, and I think if he was included in this set, it would just be so much better. I just really don't see us getting like a bigger playset version of this scene where it has Harry and has, you know, MJ in the taxi and those other things. I personally would have liked to see the scenes where Spider-Man like jams all the metal poles into the ground to try to save Eddie Brock. So yeah, just a little bit disappointing that we're not getting that version of Harry. I would have loved to see it, but all around, I think this set is amazing and I'm definitely picking it up. Let's move on to the cheapest set in this wave, and that is set number 76335, Spider-Man vs. Ghost Rider Motorcycle, releasing for $9.99 US. Taking a look at the minifigs, we do have this version of Spider-Man that we've been getting a lot, and as always, I think he's a pretty good classic comic book Spider-Man. To me, he always feels a little bit incomplete without those dual molded red boots, but we'll get into that later on in this video. The Ghost Rider that comes in the set is so cool. This might be the best one we've gotten so far. I really just love how on fire this version of Ghost Rider looks. It looks like he has fire coming out of his eyes, out of his mouth, his like chest is on fire. To me, it looks like this version of Ghost Rider specifically is doing his famous penance stare. The build itself is actually really good. In my opinion, this is the best Ghost Rider motorcycle that we've gotten from LEGO. My complaint for past versions is they looked more like the Bat Cycle than they did an actual motorcycle, and this one definitely fixes that. It's more of an accurately scaled like hog looking motorcycle. It's pretty good. I will say I'm not a huge fan of this like orange shield piece they have with this skull that's like printed or a sticker on there. It probably would have looked better to have some kind of actual physical skull build piece like on the front of this. But other than that, I think this is a really great build. I will say you are getting a little less here than past versions of Ghost Rider and Spider-Man sets. Like this one from 2017 had Hobgoblin as a villain, so Ghost Rider and Spider-Man could actually team up to fight him. With this set, I don't really know why Ghost Rider and Spider-Man would be fighting each other. And yeah, I don't know. It would have been cool to get a traffic light or those news boxes or that kind of thing. But really for $9.99 and getting a cool new Ghost Rider and a pretty decent motorcycle build and Spider-Man, I think this is a really good deal as well. All right, and here's where you're going to hear me be a little less positive in this video. This is set number 76336, Spider-Man car versus Venomized Wolverine for $19.99 US dollars. In this set, we have the same comic Spider-Man that we're seeing across all of these, nothing really new here, and Venomized Wolverine. And I gotta say, he looks pretty good. I like that head they have under there. The print looks pretty great. And I do like seeing that head mold in black. The torso being taken over by the symbiote, it looks okay to me. I feel like we've gotten better Wolverine torsos in the past. This just doesn't look like a great one, even if it didn't have the black goo all over it. But I think where I'm a little disappointed is the claws. So to me, when a hero gets taken over by the symbiote, the cool part about it is seeing their powers like be enhanced by the symbiote, right? And I think the most identifiable thing about Wolverine is his claws. So it's actually really strange to me that his claws are just normal. They're not black version of his claws. They're not like symbiote tendril versions of his claws. They're just totally normal. So for me personally, I would have liked to see something different with Wolverine's claws. I feel like the appeal of Wolverine getting taken over by a symbiote is like how his claws would become way scarier. I bet a lot of people are going to love this figure. I think people like these symbiote versions of heroes. While I think it's cool to get a different version of Wolverine, I would have much preferred to just have a comic Spider-Man villain in this set. Now let's talk about the build. Now obviously it's another spider car and I don't think a lot of people like these. I don't really know if anyone likes these. But what's interesting to me is if you look at the front of the car, it has this gold with dark blue color scheme to it. And to me, that looks so much like the MCU Iron Spider logo. So it's kind of confusing to me why the car would look like the Iron Spider version of Spider-Man and not just like comic book Spider-Man's costume. It's just an interesting choice. And I think if it was the Iron Spider version of Spider-Man, a lot more people maybe would have been into this set. But if you've seen my series where I make goofy Marvel vehicles, you'll know that I don't love when they do these random Spider-Man vehicles when Spider-Man in the comics has the Spider Buggy or the Spider-Mobile, which is like his actual car he drives. So it's always a little random to me to just keep getting these random Spider-Man vehicles. All around, I think people are only going to be paying $20 for the set for that Wolverine minifigure, which is kind of a shame. Let's move on to the set that I've seen a lot of people getting really excited about online. And that is set number 76342, Spider-Man vs. Mysterio, the Daily Bugle, for $99.99 US dollars. Starting with the minifigs, we have Miles Morales. I don't know if this is a new version of Miles, but I think it's really interesting that he doesn't have red webs here. In the Ultimate Comics where Miles appears, the webs on his suit are red. So it leads me to believe this version of Miles is based off the Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse version of Miles, which is really interesting for this set. And we have Gwen Stacy. We have seen so much of this figure, so there's really nothing new to cover here. I'm not a huge fan of seeing Miles and Gwen in every single Spider-Man set. And that's because Miles Morales' origin story revolves around losing their version of Peter Parker. And Gwen Stacy as well, her version of Peter becomes the Lizard and isn't around anymore. So the only reason that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man, and Gwen Stacy's Ghost Spider would even be in the same universe is if there was some kind of like alternate universe stuff going on. So to be honest, it always bugs me seeing them in every single Spider-Man set together because they just really aren't supposed to be together unless there's some multiversal threat. Next up, we have J. Jonah Jameson, and I don't want to be a downer here, but this version of J. Jonah Jameson is really disappointing. I just don't understand this hairpiece. J. Jonah Jameson is known for that like flat top look, so giving him this hairpiece just makes him look way less like J. Jonah Jameson. If you ask me, this is the worst version of J. Jonah Jameson we've ever gotten in LEGO, and pretty disappointing for a $100 set. Moving on, we have Venomized Captain America. I do really like seeing that helmet piece in black. Hopefully it means we'll get a John Walker US agent down the line. The head print underneath the mask looks really good as well. And I love the look of the torso where it looks like the Venom logo has like combined with the style of the Captain America logo. It's pretty sweet stuff. He comes with one dual molded leg with printing. So hopefully down the line we'll get two dual molded legs. And the shield he comes with is really cool as well. This is by far the coolest figure in the set in my opinion, and that is Mysterio. It looks like they brought back this old skull print from the early 2000s, and it just makes this version of Mysterio so eerie. He's got the rubber capes, which I know some people are kind of split on. I personally don't mind them. And his torso and leg print are incredible. This might be the best version of Mysterio we've ever gotten. Here we have Rhino, which I think is kind of a disappointing figure. When this head mold was introduced a couple years ago in like a 4+ set, a lot of people were excited about the prospects of getting a big fig Rhino. So just having a minifig Rhino that you're supposed to put into a big mech suit is kind of a letdown. And don't worry, we'll talk about that mech suit later. And with the last figure in the set, you probably thought I was going to skip over Spider-Man, but I'm not. I was just saving him for last. Guys, I think this is insane. With Oscorp and now this Spider-Man Daily Bugle set, our Spider-Man doesn't have dual molded legs. You are paying $100 for this set, and Captain America, Venomized Captain America at that, has a dual molded leg and Spider-Man doesn't. It just seems really strange to me to not have dual molded legs on Spider-Man. And I think it's especially disappointing because if you were to add dual molded legs to him, this billboard that comes with the set would make him inaccurate. So it's just a shame that the main figure doesn't have dual molded legs, but also the billboard doesn't. And let's just talk about the lineup of these minifigs real quick. Again, I'm not a big fan of the inclusions of Miles and Gwen in this set. And I know a lot of people are going to think that the Venomized Cap is really cool. And again, it's cool to have a different variant of Cap, I suppose. But keep in mind, we still have never gotten a symbiote version of Spider-Man himself, besides the Comic-Con exclusive, but that does not count. So it seems really strange to me that they haven't made some of Spider-Man's most iconic villains or more comic book looking versions like Electro, and they haven't made symbiote Spider-Man, but it seems every other hero besides Spider-Man is getting the symbiote in these sets. And as a Spider-Man fan, I think that's a huge letdown. The other thing is, if you look at this roster of minifigs, it's super strange that they come with a Daily Bugle set, because really the only one you would ever have inside the Daily Bugle is J. Jonah Jameson. You don't get a Betty Brant, you don't get a Robbie, you don't get any journalists to work there. You don't even get a security guard. But what I think is really disappointing is there's no Peter Parker to actually work at the Daily Bugle. So keep in mind, you're paying for this build, right? And with this build, you're not getting any staff to work at the Daily Bugle except for J. Jonah Jameson. I just think that was a bad decision. I would have much rather not had Miles, Gwen, and potentially even the Venomized Cap and just gotten Daily Bugle workers. Looking at the build itself, I actually think it's pretty good. The newsstand, the traffic light, the mailbox that comes with it are all really awesome. The ground floor looks great with that Daily Bugle awning, and I love on the doors how it actually says Daily Bugle. And the color scheme of this building is very nice. It's a little reminiscent of the 2013 Daily Bugle. The black firescape along the side of the building is also a very nice touch. I think it's a little disappointing how the TV screen on the 3rd floor really breaks up the building. Those continuous columns that you should have going up the whole building are gone because this TV is like sunken into the building itself. I personally think it would have looked much better if they would have had the building look normal and just had this TV screen above the awning how the old Daily Bugle looks. And on the top is that billboard or TV screen that I think is really cool. I love how Spider-Man is reminiscent of the Lego Marvel superhero Spider-Man with that pose. But again, I wish he had dual molded boots on this print or sticker. I'm sure it's a sticker. And now Rhino's mech. And I know a lot of you probably know that I'm not a huge fan of any of these Marvel mechs. With this one, it looks like they kind of just recolored the basic mechs that they use for all of those sets. I don't think Rhino looks great inside of the mech with his tiny horns poking up. I think it should have been more like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 version of Rhino, where that big Rhino headpiece actually like clamps down over his head. So it's really not a great Rhino in my opinion. This should have been a big fig Rhino for sure. All around, I know the purpose of this set is to give people a cheaper option for the Daily Bugle, so they don't have to buy that giant modular one, which is really awesome and much better set than this. But I just don't think the minifig lineup is that cool. I mean, you're getting a really awesome new Mysterio, but beyond that, I don't care about most of these minifigs. I think it's disappointing to not get the Daily Bugle staff especially. And the build is decent. I've seen a lot of people praising it online, but let me show you something that might change your opinion a little bit. I edited an image of what this building would look like if it actually said Daily Bugle on the top of the building. And if it said Daily Bugle in big letters somewhere on the top of the building, I think this set would look a lot better. I think it's an alright set and it's probably pretty worth the price. Having the Daily Bugle say Daily Bugle is part of what makes it so recognizable, so I think that's really missing here. But personally, I wish they would have made some of those changes that I talked about. Let's move on to set number 76343, Epic Battle Hulkbuster versus the Hulk for $49.99 US. So say what you will about the price and just what this set is with another Hulkbuster and Hulk, but I do think it is pretty good. This Hulkbuster looks a lot more accurately scaled to the Hulk than past versions. The Iron Man figure we get in this set is really cool. It's great to see arm printing, but to me, nothing super groundbreaking. You guys know I'm still a fan of that classic Iron Man helmet piece. I think the Hulk is actually the main reason people would be buying this set. They really captured that look from the movie where Scarlet Witch has taken over the Hulk. I love how angry he looks and that he has those red lines around his eyes. And I think his shorts and the prints on them are very good as well. The actual build itself is pretty good. Again, it feels to me like the Spider-Man 3 set where I kind of wish there was more than what we're getting, but what's here does look pretty good. My personal favorite detail is that Iron Man fist that's coming in. In that part of the movie, Iron Man keeps calling in more parts of his armor and Hulk just starts like smacking him out of the air. So it's really cool to see that recreated in this scene. I really like this set and I'll be picking it up, but I do see the criticisms. When you actually compare this set to the Daily Bugle, in the Daily Bugle, we're getting a Rhino mech and an entire building and a whole roster of minifigs for $100. But for $50, we're kind of just getting a mech and a big fig. So I do understand people thinking this one's overpriced. It kind of is, but again, it's a cool one. I'm gonna get it regardless of the price. Mainly because I want these guys battling out in my Lego New York City. And our last set, set number 76344, Iron Man Mark III Collector's Edition for $129.99 US. Now, I personally haven't been a huge fan of these big buildable figures, but this one is beautiful. They really captured the shapes and overall look of the Iron Man Mark III. It looks like an incredible display piece, and I don't even really love this type of set, but I totally am gonna get this one. When you look at a lot of the Lego Marvel sets we get, you're typically buying kind of a crappy set with a crappy build, just for minifigures, but I don't feel that way about this set at all. I could really care less about the Iron Man figure we're getting in this set. I would want this actual build. It's just really good. So it's nice to see a set from Lego where the build is actually what the set is about. I mean, if you ask me, that's what most Lego sets should be, where you're actually buying it for the build and not just for the figures. So this is really good to see. I personally would have been a little bit disappointed if I had bought the helmet set or that bus set and then they came out with this one, because it is clearly the best of the three, and I'm glad I did not pick up any of those in the past so I can get this one now. So overall, I think with these 6 sets, there's some really good things and some pretty disappointing things. I do like some of these sets, but at the end of the day, I feel like most of the time I'm just getting them for the minifigs, which is kind of sad, mainly because I don't even love the other minifigs in most of those sets. I really would like to see better from Lego Marvel as a theme, but I do understand why a lot of people would love all of these sets. I really love the Spider-Man 3 set, and that Mark III statue build is really cool. But what do you think about these 6 sets that we're getting in January of 2026 from Lego Marvel? Are you going to be picking them up? Do you agree with any of my opinions? Do you disagree with me? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.